You ever wake up and feel like the whole world just decided to take a bulldozer to your peace? I'm talking about the kind of morning where you hear engines roaring outside, look out your window, and your lake, the one spot left in the world that still feels like home, is getting torn up by heavy machinery like it's just another patch of dirt on some corporate blueprint. That's how my day started at 70 years old, still half in my dreams, clutching Margaret's favorite mug, wearing slippers with holes in them, and watching strangers pour concrete for a resort nobody asked for. And right there, in the chaos, is this lawyer, tailored suit, clipped voice, telling me to relocate from the land my grandfather bought with his bare hands in 1952, where every inch carries a memory and every rock along the lake is part of my story. You know what I mean? You stand there feeling like the world's moved on without you, and you're just the last page in someone else's story. I march out, robe flapping, hair sticking up like a scarecrow, yelling at the foreman to get the hell off my property, but he just shrugs, hands me paperwork with Blackwood Development Group stamped on it, like I'm the confused one. Meanwhile, up pulls this BMW that's seen better days, tiny crack in the headlight, like its owner's running on stress and empty promises. That's Carolyn Blackwood, the supposed legal powerhouse. She's calm, almost too calm, talking about permits and procedures, her phone lighting up with calls she keeps ignoring. And while she's rattling off legal jargon, I see a hospital bill peeking out from under her bag, 47 grand, final notice in red. That's when it clicks. She's not just fighting for profit, she's fighting like someone who's got a secret weight on her back. And I can feel there's more going on than business as usual. After she leaves, I go digging through my basement, through boxes I haven't touched since Margaret passed, hands shaking with memory and dread, until I find this envelope in my grandfather's handwriting. Urgent, Aquifer Rights Treaty 1952. Never let outsiders take them, he wrote. Whoever controls the underground water controls everything. That hits me like a punch, and suddenly I realize the peaceful lake I've taken for granted all these years sits on a resource the whole damn county depends on. We're not just talking about water for fishing or skipping stones. Every farm, every city around depends on the aquifer that flows under my land. That's why these people want it so bad. That's why Carolyn's desperate. But if she knew about these rights, why does she look more scared than powerful? I call up Laura Clark, an old friend's daughter who's a private investigator and legal whiz, the kind who helped me sort through Margaret's insurance mess when cancer hit. She digs into Blackwood Development, and what she uncovers turns the story inside out. Turns out, Carolyn's not just a developer. She's a mother running out of time. Her 16-year-old daughter Emma has acute lymphoblastic leukemia, fighting cancer for 18 months, the bills piling up faster than hope. Insurance denied coverage for the one treatment that might save Emma's life, calling it experimental. $600,000 for a shot at survival. And every day the money's not there is a day closer to the edge. And as Laura lays out the medical records, I realize Emma's getting care from Dr. Richardson, the same specialist who treated Margaret. Suddenly, Carolyn's face, her panic, her hospital calls, makes sense. She's breaking every rule to keep her daughter alive. You can call it desperation or crime, but when it's your child, lines get blurry real fast. But here's the twist, and it hits like cold water down your back. Laura discovers that the insurance company denying Emma's treatment is tangled up in the very resort project bulldozing my lake. Turns out, this company holds shares in major resort developments statewide. When they realize Carolyn's using embezzled HOA funds to build a competing resort, they start making threats. Walk away from the project, plead guilty to fraud, and they'll approve Emma's treatment retroactively and moving forward. Keep building, and they'll see to it Emma never gets coverage. Not here, not anywhere. I'm looking at this web of greed and leverage, realizing the stakes aren't just about property or profit anymore. They're about life and death, justice and betrayal, and how the most vulnerable always end up caught in the crossfire. After a sleepless night, I watch Caroline show up on my porch in the pouring rain. No suit, just a mother's exhaustion etched on her face. We finally talk, honest for the first time. She admits everything. Mortgaged her house, her practice, even her mother's jewelry, just to pay for Emma's treatments. When that wasn't enough and insurance said no, she started moving money from the HOAs, promising herself she'd pay it back once the resort made a profit. She's not proud, but when your child is dying, You stop caring about consequences. Then Dr. Richardson walks in, called by Caroline, and I see the look on his face. The mix of hope and worry I remember from Margaret's last months. The treatment is working, he says, but the hospital needs payment by Friday, or they'll have to stop the protocol. It's the kind of deadline that feels less like a date on a calendar and more like a ticking bomb in your chest. But something's off. The doctor keeps glancing at my security cameras. Caroline doesn't panic when he says treatment will stop, and the next morning, an insurance rep calls offering a bizarre deal. Drop the resort, return the embezzled funds, and they'll approve Emma's coverage. Since when does an insurance company care about real estate? Why does Caroline look more scared than relieved? That's when she finally breaks down and tells me the whole truth. Emma's been in remission for 3 months. The therapy worked, but the insurance company is holding her medical future hostage as leverage against the resort project. If Caroline walks away, they'll make her a hero parent, help other kids get access to the same treatment. If she keeps building, they'll blackball Emma for life. The rabbit hole goes deeper. Laura finds evidence this company has done the same thing to a dozen other families, using denial of coverage as a weapon to control commercial competition. They're not just playing with money. They're playing God, deciding who lives and dies based on what makes the most business sense. That's when the idea hits me, so crazy it might actually work. What if I use my $2 billion water rights as leverage? I call Laura. We find Meridian Water Corporation, a company with a track record of helping communities instead of squeezing them dry. They're willing to buy the rights, fund a pediatric cancer center right on the site where the resort was supposed to be, make Emma the first patient, Caroline the founding director. Suddenly, I've got the power to help everyone. Emma, the community, even kids we'll never meet. The day of the big signing, every local news crew in 100 miles shows up. Meridian's ready to buy. The insurance company's squirming under the glare of federal fraud investigations. The resort construction grinds to a halt, and before the dust even settles, the Emma Blackwood Cancer Treatment Center is announced, funded for generations. Caroline avoids prison, paying back her debts through service. Emma's story inspires policy changes, and insurance company executives get dragged into courtrooms instead of boardrooms. The families who bought into the doomed resort get their money back, with extra for the stress. For the first time since Margaret died, I feel like I've actually changed something for the better. A year goes by, and the center has treated 200 kids. No one ever gets a bill. Caroline works herself to the bone, living on coffee and cereal, fighting for every family who walks through the door, donating half her salary, refusing pay raises, all because she knows what it's like to lose sleep over a child's future. Emma, cancer-free, starts studying to become a doctor. The insurance company, now under federal watch, is forced to pay millions in fines and create a compensation fund for families they hurt. And yet, in the quiet moments, standing by the lake, I wonder how many other battles like this are raging out of sight, where the stakes are just as high and the villains just as hidden. 5 years later, Caroline has built a network of cancer centers nationwide. She's testified before Congress, lived humbly so she can send survivors to college, and become a legend for families who once thought hope was out of reach. Emma leads research studies, Laura tracks policy reforms, and our little corner of the world is living proof that sometimes your worst enemy becomes your greatest ally when the chips are down. You look around at the foundation that bears both our names, see the kids laughing on the grass, parents who don't have to choose between mortgage and medicine, and you start to believe that maybe redemption isn't about wiping away your mistakes, but using them as the bedrock for something better. But here's the thing. Every happy ending carries a shadow. Some say Caroline never paid enough. Others argue she gave more than anyone could ask. Some want to forgive, others can't forget. Maybe that's what justice really is, not the absence of wrong, but the hard, messy work of making things right, day after day, choice after choice. I'd love to hear where you stand. Can people truly change, or do the lines we cross stay with us forever? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Tell me what justice means to you, and if you've ever found yourself doing the wrong thing for the right reasons. Because in the end, we're all just trying to hold on to the things that matter, one imperfect choice at a time.